The Heavenly Demon. Can't Live a Normal Life. By Sanchin. Chapter 126. Changes Left Behind by the War. Part 1. The star of Hector. People looked up to Edwin Hector. They had no doubt that he was the hero who had come down from the heavens and could save this fallen kingdom. Was that why Edwin Hector himself believed in his victory? Until he met Roman Dimitri. Slash. Quack. Blood splashing. The being who popped up from the darkness, cutting down the soldiers of Hector at once, and disappearing back into the darkness. The soldiers screamed as they searched for Roman. However, the moment they left their positions even a little, darkness would descend upon them, and the number of dead soldiers went up. Looking at it, Edwin Hector could do nothing. His mind was looking down, and he couldn't help but watch the others die. And then he realized. This was a nightmare. He had to get up, but no matter how hard he tried, the slaughter wouldn't stop. The unexpected variable in the plan, as well as the existence of a being known as Roman Dimitri. If I could turn back time, could I have brought down the southern front against Roman Dimitri? No, it was not possible. Looking back, Roman Dimitri was a step ahead of him when they fought, even when compared to Butler. He didn't know how it was possible. What was certain was that Roman Dimitri didn't look like he had limitations on him, and therefore a victory couldn't be guaranteed. People called themselves the best talents. Even Edwin Hector was confident and arrogant until everything was destroyed. I plunged the kingdom into despair. If there was no war, could the Hector kingdom struggle to survive a little more? As Edwin Hector's mind fell into deep, dark thoughts, the slaughter continued. He couldn't even guess how long this was taking. His mind felt lost, unable to bear the responsibility of what he had done. And then, Edwin Hector saw the face of the soldier who was killed by Roman. The royal family provided sufficient food as a reward to soldiers who applied for the war. That soldier volunteered for the war even though he couldn't even use a sword properly in order to save his mother, and he died here. His heart ached. He didn't think it was Roman's fault. He, too, must have been doing this for his own justice, and since he was the loser here, he had to bear all this. As his thoughts drifted into the depths of despair, he remembered that there were people he had to take care of. The kingdom of Hector is facing the worst problem. However, Hector is not yet destroyed. There are people who only look at me, so I must somehow find a way for all of them to live. The evil darkness was gone. A bright light shone in his eyes. And how long has it been? Edwin Hector opened his eyes. About a week passed. In the meantime, many things happened in the Hector kingdom. Those involved in the war had gone silent, but the news of its plunge into despair was going around. Knight Butler was attacked by the Devil of Cairo. It was a complete defeat right from the start to the end. The Devil of Cairo alone slaughtered thousands of soldiers, and that wasn't enough. He even cut down Butler and pierced the rear gates of the fort. It was a fight we couldn't win in the first place. We thought the Star of Hector was the best talent in the world, but the wide world is infested with monsters even scarier. The Hector kingdom is over. We did everything we could for the war and got nothing back. Horrible rumors about Roman Dimitri spread. That name shook the continent. After such a shocking performance, people talked about the rebirth of a really great swordsman in the Cairo kingdom. The problem was that the scapegoat for their achievement was the Hector kingdom. When Edwin Hector realized how bad things were for the kingdom, he called the leaders together. "How is my body?" "It is fine." "Foolish child. I never asked you to risk your life. I apologize for my inability to carry the burden of the royal family and passed it on to you, but I didn't expect you to solve the problem at the cost of your life. I am sorry." Edwin Hector bowed his head. His father's heart was warm, but Edwin Hector couldn't afford to do this now. "Father, did you hear the report from Jackson?" "I did. 3 days ago, anomalies were discovered in the village of Hector. It was a village where the first poor crop had started, and there were reports that the ground had not just turned dry and crumbly but had turned black, and every living thing was dying. It seems to be the necromancer's curse. The necromancer's curse, it was quite a sensitive word. Edwin Hector felt his heart sink as he heard this report from Jackson. At first, I thought that it was a poor harvest that fell on Hector, a curse of God. But if this is the same as a necromancer's curse, perhaps the harvest going bad was deliberately done to torment the Hector kingdom. It wasn't done by normal black magic. Someone must have worked for many years to inflict a curse that affects the entire land of Hector, and as soon as the war is done, the curse is out in the open. Does this mean that they were forcing us to attack Cairo right from the start? Yes. He couldn't be sure, but there were forces that deliberately pushed Hector Kingdom off the cliff. Edwin Hector, who had checked numerous reports as soon as he got up, had come to this conclusion. At that time, we were the puppets of someone. The Cairo Kingdom is no different. It is clear that the force behind this darkness is purposely taking advantage of the two kingdoms fighting. But right now, revenge isn't something we can afford. We need time to solve the current problems we are facing and clearly understand what kind of power is behind what happened. We don't have time. I know. He figured out the problem. Even if he knew the curse, it wasn't easy to solve it. A curse spread all around Hector. At least a high priest had to step in. Hector's power wasn't that good, so in order to solve the problem, something had to be done to turn the situation around. When I was young, the Tower Master of Vast Heaven made a suggestion to me. If I give up the position of the prince and join the magic tower, I will be given something. I will spend my time in the Vast Heaven Tower. Edwin. Everyone looked shocked at Edwin's words. It meant giving up the throne, and knowing that, everyone tried to stop him, but Edwin made up his mind. It just takes 1 year. That is the only way we can solve this problem. They knew that even when the solution was presented. The fact that the Hector Kingdom had no other alternative to survive. When the Cairo Kingdom was celebrating, the Hector Kingdom made the decision to let go of their hero. The war had ended, so the people returned to their daily routines. McBurney, who was an instructor at the Southern Training Center, stayed in a bar after arriving in the capital, unlike others. Qua. Tack. Tack. He put the bottle down. He had stopped drinking for a while. At the Southern Training Center, he didn't drink because he thought he had to keep the kids all on their toes, but not now. The war led to victory. McBurney received a huge reward in the process. He was given money to live the rest of his life sparingly, but such material compensation didn't make him happy. Send you back to the battlefield? McBurney. Calm down. Thanks to Roman Dmitri, you are being called a war hero, but you failed to protect the center and lost all your men. This proves that you don't have much worth on the battlefield. Who will trust and follow you? So, spend the rest of your years comfortably with the money you received from the royal family. That will work best for you. They were the words of his senior captains. They told him of the brutal reality. It wasn't like he didn't know his limitations, but he couldn't help but drink in such a situation. Clack. And he continued to drink. No matter how much he drank, he didn't get drunk, and his mind only got clearer. I should have died on the battlefield. 10 years of life on the battlefield. He had many colleagues in the past, and he survived after watching all of them die, and at some point, he was called a veteran warrior. He became a capable person who rose to the position of captain despite being a commoner. But he was unable to relax his thoughts. His mental strength was worn out by constant war, so he couldn't accept a normal life. When was it? He wanted to die alongside his comrades on the battlefield. Although that was his wish, he was humbled by his superior's order not to send him to the battlefield. Right, what can a one-armed swordsman even do? He recently heard a rumor about Roman. He began to be called the hero of Cairo due to his achievements on the southern front and for showing overwhelming power in front of the Castro family. Such a great person. At first, he thought his diligence and determination to train his soldiers were great, but now he had risen to a position that he couldn't dare touch. He suddenly felt jealous of that man's subordinates. Having a man like Roman as their master and being able to blindly trust him was the life McBurney wanted. There are already many talented people under Roman Dmitri. He wouldn't notice a one-armed man who has no skills. McBurney, this is your reality. You have lost your worth as a warrior, and you need to accept the reality in order to not repeat the same mistake in the Southern Training Center. His throat burned, making him want to drink again. But then... tack. It has been long. A man came and sat next to him. The moment he looked at Roman Dmitri, McBurney doubted his eyes. His heart raced. Roman Dmitri, his idol. Why was he here? At that moment, when his mind had gone complicated, Roman went straight to the point. I need great people for my future plans. McBurney, I think of you as the kind of person who fits my plan. I will ask you directly. Will you follow me to Dmitri? At that moment. Thump. Thump. It was his heart. It was as if a rope had fallen from heaven. It was a situation he had been dreaming of, so there was no reason to refuse. But I am grateful for the offer, but as you can see, I am a one-armed swordsman. Ever since I lost the arm that held the sword, I've lost my value as a swordsman. What could a person like me even do for Roman Dmitri? I am worried that with me by your side, your reputation will be tainted, and I will be a burden to you. He didn't want to refuse. In fact, he wanted to jump at it. But he couldn't help but say no. When he got to the capital, for a short time, the people in his unit didn't want to do anything with him because he only had one arm. This was the reality. He was no hero. He was lucky enough to be alive. It doesn't sound like a rejection to my ears, though. Am I wrong? McBurney said nothing. In the New World, Roman's criteria for accepting talent weren't for the present but for the future. And Roman said, have you ever heard of the left-handed swordsman? In Baek Jung-hyuk's memory, Roman remembered a warrior who showed an impressive performance. Chapter 127. Changes left behind by the war. Part 2. Left-handed swordsman, Song Baek. He was called the Secret Escort. Dedicated to serving the nation, he lost his right arm during the war and was told that he could no longer work on the battlefield. But the imperial family didn't abandon him. He was granted wealth and honor by acknowledging his achievements, but Song Baek, who had spent his entire life on the battlefield, couldn't accept living a peaceful life. Song Baek spent days of suffering, and one day, he held the sword again. He made the decision to end his life as a warrior, even if it meant dying in vain. Song Baek swung the sword for years until his left arm got used to it. And when he regained his skills to some extent, he challenged the warriors of Muramwile, wielding his sword in his left hand. At the beginning of the fight, it was hard to even go against a third-rate warrior. The balance of his body, which broke due to losing one arm, wasn't fully restored, and every moment risked his life. After years of training, the left-handed swordsman gradually developed a system. He used his twisted body to stay balanced, which was always pointed out as a weakness. He attacked aggressively, and his anomalous attacks would always work. Finally, he met Baek Jung-hyuk and died. But when he died as a warrior, Song Baek smiled sincerely while reminiscing about his days when he was alive. Left-handed swordsman Song Baek. I cannot say that he was the best warrior among the many I met, but the technique of using only his left arm was surely something he excelled at. I was so impressed with our confrontation that I ended up going for closed-room training. McBurney is no different. He lost his right arm, and his body is out of balance, but he naturally adapts while using his left arm. The reason he wanted McBurney wasn't because of his resemblance to Song Baek. The information he distributed on the Southern Front greatly aided him during the war. If a talented person like him stayed here, maybe the stony road would feel a little better. Not taking him in was even stranger. So Roman went to McBurney and looked into his shocked eyes as he said, the left-handed swordsman was a person who lived the same life as you. However, he overcame his physical weakness and wielded the sword with his left hand, which surprised me. If you can promise to entrust your future to me, I will show you what it is like. And unlike the Cairo kingdom, which doesn't recognize your worth, I will use you better than anyone else." The pretense was omitted. It was a deal, and it offered a reward for his loyalty. That was all. At Roman's words that he would use him for his worth, McBurney felt his heart burst. The savior of my heart. One-armed moron. If only he could live as a warrior. McBurney would do anything for Roman. Thud. He fell flat on the ground. He didn't care if people looked at him, he just put his face down and spoke loudly. "I, McBurney, have heard that you will put me to good use. From now on, I will give my life to Roman Dmitri. Thank you very much for taking me under your wing." On that day, McBurney found new hope. Parting with Roman, McBurney headed home. He was planning to pack his bags and follow Roman. "Hey, McBurney. You haven't given up on your hopes to go to the battlefield? Please give up. I know that you were skilled in the old days, but now you are a bastard with no arm. You don't even have a good background to support you. How long are you going to act like the pitiful commoner you are? Right, take the advice and listen to us." They were his comrades in the temporary unit at the Western Front. Because they, too, had been eliminated, seeing McBurney in distress was upsetting. "Just look at how our faces have gone stiff. Between you and us, there were times we could call our heyday. But look at us now. Our lives are all about chasing after nobles in the capital. But you get to follow Roman Dmitri and receive a huge reward. Then you will know what to do and get to live the rest of your life comfortably, so why are you sticking out your sour face in here? Right. Fuck off. Can't you just leave? My stomach hurts at the sight of you." Bitter insults. What if he didn't get Roman's offer? Maybe McBurney would have fought with them. But now that he found a new life, these people looked pitiful to him. "I am no different from you, I lost the will to live and wandered, but not anymore." Slick. McBurney smiled. Carrying the burden on his shoulders, he headed outside while holding up his middle finger. "Fuck off, you bastards. When we meet again next time, let's see if your life and mine are different even then." So he left and felt more at ease. There was no going back now. McBurney will live for Roman Dmitri in the future. War. One event changed the lives of many. Edwin Hector, McBurney, and Henry Albert, the fool of the Albert family, was also caught up in it. Phew. On the way back to his home, he sighed. He thought that if he followed Roman Dmitri, he would be rewarded for it, but the Cairo people only showed interest in Dmitri's men. Henry Albert was given a few bucks. For commoners like McBurney, that would be a great reward, but it wasn't so great for Henry Albert. "Mr. Roman is too much. Still, we had struggled together for so long, couldn't he take me too?" When the war was over, Henry Albert secretly followed Roman. He sensed Roman's authority and knew he would need Roman and his closest advisors, including Chris, to gain entry into the central government. But hope doesn't always turn into reality. Roman didn't seem to accept Henry as a person, and he abandoned him as soon as they reached the capital. And now Henry Albert was returning home. Right, what good would it do to be below someone? Living among people who support me is what I want to do. I don't like it at all, going out into a world full of monsters like Roman Dmitri. And what about Edwin Hector? Just being exempt from military service is a huge achievement for me. He began to realize a couple of things. There were two figures representing the kingdom. When he thought of Edwin and Roman, he wondered about himself. He was of similar age to them, yet he had no talent and was less confident too. That was how he managed to come home. But, hero of Cairo, congratulations on your return, Henry Albert. The pride of the Albert family. Henry Albert returned safely. If the future of the Albert family is questioned, let them know it is Henry Albert. In front of the gate, cloths with strange words were written, and Henry looked blankly. Something had surely gone wrong. At first, he didn't understand what was happening. Henry Albert, who was being welcomed by his family, looked shocked and met Viscount Bale with a smile. "Uncle? My dear nephew." Viscount Bale hugged Henry. Actually, as soon as he saw the face of Viscount Bale, he wanted to slap him. Viscount Bale, who believed in himself even when he first enlisted on the Southern Front, ran away from the army without even thinking about Henry when the war broke out. This man didn't know how angry Henry was about his actions. Henry vowed to inform the family of this man's bad deeds, but here he was holding Henry's hand, unaware of his feelings. "Everyone, congratulate the pride of the family, my nephew." "Oh. Henry! Henry!" Everyone looked excited. He missed the timing to speak, and Viscount Bale continued to speak about things Henry didn't know of. "As you all know, the Hector kingdom crossed the border without giving notice. As the commander of the center, I was going to stay till the very end and fight the enemies, but then our Henry requested that I, as the commander, inform the Cairo royal family of what was happening. He pushed me away from the battle, saying he would stay with Roman Dmitri till the end and fight." Viscount Bale was a deserter. He expected the defeat of Cairo, but that didn't happen, which made his situation miserable. Of course, he didn't run away right at the start. He fought for a while, and when the situation didn't change, he ran. Therefore, considering his position, he had created a heroic deed in Henry Albert. Those with ties to the central government must have heard it. When we achieved the great victory in the guerrilla operation, it was our Henry who reported it to the royal family on behalf of Roman Dmitri. So Henry played a huge role. Others think that Roman Dmitri did it all, but we need to remember that the role of Henry wasn't small either. Now he understood the reason for the existence of banners. Henry Albert was a hero to the family. The problem was that it wasn't just within the family, but everyone around was being told of this. A day passed when Henry's father held him and said, "There are a lot of messages coming in from the close nobles saying they want their daughters married to you. Henry, do you like someone? Last time I heard you say you liked the child of the Aden family." The Aden family was of the central government. He could see things clearly. The Aden family, which had ignored them all this time, wanted an arranged marriage now. The eldest daughter of the Aden family is famous for her beauty. So many children of noble families want to marry her, but the Aden family has rejected all the proposals and wants her to be married to me? Is this for real? He was stunned. His life was changing because of the war with Hector. But Henry did nothing in the war. However, the mere fact of being with Roman when the war happened changed his status, and it wasn't just that. "This is the Cairo Royal Academy. Could you give us a lecture on what happened at the Southern Front?" It was a contact from the capital. His heart raced. The Cairo Royal Academy made the same offer to the people of Dmitri, who refused, so they moved to Henry Albert. Henry knew then. The fact that you could be great even if you weren't great by being with someone who was. So he decided, in order to increase my worth, I need to spread the word of how great Roman Dmitri is. His only achievement was being beside Roman. Henry Albert quickly accepted the offer to speak. The truth might be tragic, but it wasn't too bad to borrow the name of Roman to make people look at him. He didn't think about anything else. If he was even a little smart in the first place, he wouldn't be called a fool. From then on, Henry Albert played the role of praising Roman Dimitri's achievements to people. It was Henry Albert's turning point in his life as a fool to whom no one paid attention. A few days later, Roman left the capital. The people of the central government came out, and the people of Cairo shouted and cheered for him. As he was leaving the city, not once did he look back. When I return to the capital next time, I have to make a choice. The four forces of Cairo would not like to wait any longer. So, until then, I will completely take over the northern area so I can oppose the central government. The people of the central government didn't know the true intentions of Roman. Later on, Roman's reason for visiting the capital was something they couldn't even predict.